Welcome to Simply Caroline, a podcast dedicated to women empowerment where we will discuss a bunch of different subjects such as life, parenting, love, business, money, relationships, healing, recovery, addiction, entrepreneurship, and so much more. A podcast I'll do my best to keep simple, fun, and relatable and bring you tools to help you better your life. So thank you for being here. And here's your host, myself, Caroline Blanchard. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Thank you for being again with us again this week. I have another spectacular guest, and as you notice, I'm not using amazing anymore. So we have Dr. Amanda Barrientez. Hi, Amanda.
Hey, psyched to be here.
Sorry, I should say Dr. Amanda.
So, yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Dr. Amanda is here to talk to us about money. Don't we love talking about that subject? I think it's one of the subjects that there's the most love and hate around. You know, you love it or you hate it, you want to hear about it, or you so don't want to hear about it, depending on where you are at in life. But what I absolutely love about Amanda's story is, how she came to start this brand. And actually, I'm just going to let her tell the story. So what is NFA?
NFA stands for no fucking around. And my company name is NFA Money. So there's really this attitude of when you're NFA, it means that you take radical responsibility for your results. And money is one of those things that, just like you said, people freak out about. And even if they say that they're like, oh, I want to be financially free, I love money, they have all these underlying unconscious blocks that keep them stuck because, money causes us to feel fear, resentment, jealousy, greed, sadness, everything. And so I love helping people break through their money blocks and heal their relationship to money so they can feel really good about money, authentically good about money.
Yeah. And like you said, the blocks, even I find that even when you think you don't have money blocks, and you really start analyzing why you're stuck there or why you plateaued there or whatever. I was listening to a few episodes of your podcast, NFA Money, and I was just like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I do that too. And then you're like,
yeah.
Oh, goodness. Well, I have this blockage too. So I encourage you guys to go listen to Dr. Amanda's podcast. But what brought you to start this podcast?
Yeah, and I'm going to clarify, and this is fun because I've had 3 people this week say, do you have a podcast? And I used to have a podcast called Max Potential Money, which you might not even know about, actually. What you're talking about is my YouTube channel, NFA Money. And now I'm in the works with repurposing the YouTube to put it back on the podcast because I had my podcast in 55 countries and I decided to pivot and focus on YouTube. And I had people going like, but wait, you got to bring your podcast back. So it will be called NFA Money Podcast. But right now,
because I saw in the future.
Yeah, you did. There you go. You channeled it for me. Totally. So, the thing that you're saying, I think, is amazing because people don't know they have money blocks. Like if they knew, then they would just fix them. Right. And so the problem with money blocks is that it causes things like stress around money, not liking the way you make money, anxiety where you don't sleep well at night. And for entrepreneurs, this shows up as imposter syndrome, fear of sales, not charging what you're worth. I mean, pretty much all lack of business success, I can link back to money blocks. So it's those unconscious beliefs that you have around money and your relationship to money and your relationship to self-worth. And so money confidence is really important to learn so that you can then feel like you have this magic wand to create whatever amount of money you want on your terms in any conditions. And so that's what I love to focus on.
Yeah. And I love that because it does apply to business, but it applies also to anyone. Like I'm looking at how I was raised. My mom gave her all. And I mean, I'm not blaming anything, but she accepted that we were poor early on. And there was not even she would buy a lotto ticket every week. And then we would spend 5 days thinking about how we would spend it, and then be very disappointed the day of, and then the cycle would start again. So, but it was, and I'm laughing because it is funny when you think about that, like, but it gave us something to hold on to. But it's also like she had accepted her state of like, this is how I am. I'm a single mom. I'm gonna, just make it by. And I see it in some people around me, like some people, acquaintances and all of that. You can see that they've accepted that's where they are. So it's not only in business, it's also like in general.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think for women, especially, there's a particular brand of money blocks. We get told from a very young age, we see things from a very young age, and we get told from a very young age about our limitations around money. And we start to integrate that into our system and unconsciously buy into those beliefs. And so, I had the same thing. It was like, I grew up in a fundamentalist Christian family. And in that way of thinking, women aren't even supposed to make money. Like men are the breadwinners and women are the home caregivers, and that's the way it is. And so I had that download from birth, through my childhood. And then when I went to graduate school for sociology, and my focus was on gender. And in that discipline, you learn about all of the oppression against women, and especially women in my position. I'm a first-gen college student, and then I became a single mom during grad school, Native American, like I had all these things going against me. And so through that process, I just kept getting download after download after download, like, oh, you're never going to be financially powerful. And it was a lot to break through. It's really, when I was on food stamps and then built my 6-figure business, it was huge. And it was all about my belief system. So it's like not surprising that your mom would just buy into the belief and just integrate it into her being, like, this is the way it is. I mean, we all experience that until we decide to get conscious and shift our belief system.
So talk to us about your journey of like, how did you get on food stamps and how did you get out of it, most importantly?
Yeah, it was really hard to go on food stamps. I had a lot of shame around it. I was seeing this free counselor in the school that I was working to get my PhD. And so they give you like free services. And so I was seeing this counselor and I was really struggling financially already. She's like, you got to go on food stamps. And I had so much embarrassment around it. So that was a hard one for me. And, all of this was going on after I had left my 15-year marriage having an affair. My next relationship wasn't working out. So here I am on the floor crying one night. I'm looking out at this empty basement, and I'd spent the day looking for places to live on Craigslist, and I couldn't afford anything. So I'm going like, oh my God, I'm going to be homeless or have to live in maybe a studio apartment with my 3 kids and my dog. And in the place that I lived, it would have been surrounded by a whole bunch of young college students who were partying. And I was just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so here I am crying on the floor. And I sat up and I had this epiphany, and I was like, looking at the pattern across my life, I'm the center of the problems. Like my last relationship didn't work out. This one didn't work out. It's causing all these money problems, and no one's coming to save me. I've got to save myself here. And what it led to was me just having this moment of like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to have a better relationship and more money. Like, I'm tired of this. I was really at that bottom point. And I started listening to podcasts because I was super busy, didn't have extra money. And so I was like, well, I'll listen to podcasts. And I plugged into relationship podcasts, and then it led me to mindset podcasts. And it just started to completely change the way I thought from the inside out. And then, the way that the world works, I think in this magical way, at the same time, my department that I was earning my graduate degree in, and I was planning to be a professor, that we had this national news fallout where professors were leaving the department. Everyone was super stressed. And I was like, God, I don't want to be a professor anymore. This is not the path I want to be on. And so I decided, well, all these podcasts are done by coach type entrepreneurial people. What if I just become a coach? And then I loved teaching. I had over 2,000 students in university, and I just loved teaching. So I thought I could use these skills and become a coach. So I decided, I'm going to finish my degree and I'm going to take the leap when I graduate, and I'm going to start a business. And I went 6 figures in that first year.
Congratulations. That is crazy. And you know what? Not to undermine the fact that you did a doctorate and all of that, like with 3 kids and, struggling. I only did a bachelor, and, I kind of looked at the master after, and I was just like, nah. Do I really need that? I really need this. So I can't imagine someone going this far and saying, congratulations. Because on top of that, you were not in the best circumstances to actually have your brain really working properly to do your studies. It's all, you're one person when you're a mom, a woman, a student. So congratulations. So how did you go to that 6 figures?
It was really amazing because what I decided immediately was that I had to learn marketing and mindset. It was like those 2 things. I'm like, I got to master my mindset and master marketing, and then my business will fly. And so I immediately started going to marketing workshops and reading all the marketing books I could, while I was also reading, law. Didn't immediately start with law of attraction stuff. I didn't know anything about it actually. And so I just started working with money mindset and mindset type of stuff. And I went to every networking event I could go to, and I just started talking to everyone I could talk to. And what I would do is I would go to a networking event, and I would just, instead of giving someone my card, I would get their card. I would follow up, and then I'd say, let's just sit and chat, because they'd have some reason they wanted to give me their card. We'd have a short conversation at this event. I'd have a powerful, powerful conversation with them at this coffee shop, where I was like, I am dedicated to them having a breakthrough, so that at the end of the coffee shop day, they are asking me if they can work with me. And on the fly, I would just come up with a package. And then that, after a few of those, I started to go like, okay, people are kind of asking what is the program like? And so then I wrote out just on a Word document, a couple bullet points of what the program would be like. And I called it NFA transformation. And at the time, my company wasn't called NFA. And so, people liked that. And I just kept doing that. And I started a podcast, and I just started putting stuff out there and getting myself out there as much as I possibly could. And then it just led to people, contacting me for joint ventures. And it was amazing. It was a wild year.
Wow. Congratulations once again. But what I loved in what you said, and I'm a bit like that too, and I took that from Steve Jobs, he's like, when you don't know what to say, just say yes and figure it out after. And I realized, first of all, I've been doing that my whole life. I took jobs that I had 0 experience in, and I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. And then you go through those moments of what did I get myself into? I find that it's such a drive to not have the time to think too much, to overthink everything. And quite often that is pushed by when you're in need to have something happen fast.
Yeah.
You'll have to say yes and just do it and go, face first. It's like, I'm doing it. So I find that this is a big thing that you said there. Planning and over analyzing quite often will bring us back into our fears, and will bring us back into, oh my goodness, can I actually do that? When you go out and you seek opportunities, they may be for you and they may not be for you, but there's never an opportunity that you will hear that will turn something bad in you. Usually it's always it comes with good energy because the person is really into it. So you feed off this energy. And I guess that without knowing it, you were, applying the law of attraction, because you were attracting people who were going for it. And I love how you say, and I was offering my package at the end. And again, this is one thing that I had to learn, because I have this perfectionist side, is if you don't have it all figured out on paper, just say it. Just like you said, I was doing my packages as we went, and you can always readjust everything after. Yeah. That was a big catalyst in you, soaring for success.
Yeah. Oh, you just said so many things I want to talk about. I mean, that was amazing. It makes me think a lot about one of my favorite mantras when I started was screw perfection, just get started, just put it out there. Screw perfection, just get it out there. Screw perfection, just get started. Because, a perfectionist model happens in your mind when you have imposter syndrome. And I would, there were times I definitely would get stuck in this analysis paralysis and perfectionism and be like, it's got to be perfect. And it's got to be this. And the funny thing is, no one even looked at my website that I was building. No one even looked at the card that I changed the font 8 million times on. It was like, the conversation was what mattered. And when I realized that, I was like, okay, screw perfection. No one cares about those details. They care about that I can help them have a transformation. That's all they care about. They never asked, do you have coaching credentials? Do you have this? I didn't. I had a PhD, but that was not in coaching. And so it was more about, that I was learning about how to master my own mindset, and they were seeing me change and grow through the process. And they were like, I want to work with you. Whatever you've got, you're on fire. And so what really was the law of attraction, I didn't know it at the time. And, that I think it's amazing to think about how easy it is when you're in fear. So sometimes fear is a great motivator, right? It's not a way to live forever, because my mindset in that space was like, I got to make this fly hell or high water. And I did, but I don't like to live that way anymore. I've learned a lot about how I can let go of stress on the money-making journey instead of having it be this like cracking the whip on myself and doing it all out of stress, and I don't like to feel that way. So now my new mantra is work less, make more, have fun. So every year in my business, I work less hours, and I quote unquote work less because I'm doing what I love more and more, and I'm delegating away the things that I don't. What that does is brings me more money. So every year I've worked less, I've made more money, and I've had more fun. And that's what I love to teach people, because a lot of entrepreneurs create prisons out of their businesses, and no one wants that.
No. And you did say one thing that I want to point out even more, is that fear can be a good thing.
Yeah.
Cracking whip is good at some point in your life or in your business. You don't want to stay in that situation, but I've seen people like avoiding it at all costs. Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes it's okay to be in that situation until you get things going, and then you can.
Yeah. I want to add to that, because I think the challenge there is like, this is where I call it the curse of the comfort zone, because some people, when they're not in that, they don't get motivated, right? They're just like, I'm pretty darn comfortable, so I don't really need to change. I was very, very uncomfortable. So I was like, I got to do something fast. And if I don't have this business fly in 2 months, I'm going to have to go get a job. And I didn't want to go get a job. So it's like, and I didn't need that much money to get started either, because I had lived very simply because I was on food stamps. And so, I kind of had a lot of great things working for me in my benefit, because sometimes I'll have clients come to me who have like high paying jobs and they want to transition into entrepreneurship, and they don't have that fire in the same way, because they're not in survival mode. They're not like, I gotta make this fly to feed my kids. And so it's an interesting, different choice when you're in that space. And so, I'd say to people, how you respond to the fear is what matters. And so for me, my response was like, let's see what I'm made of, and let's bring on the challenge, instead of like, oh, I'm either going to set up my life where I'm too comfortable or where I am so stressed out that I burn out, because fear at some point will burn you out, and you don't want that.
No, absolutely. And thanks for clarifying that. So now you coach, people to go to their 7 figures. You are well on your way. And we had a chat the other day, and you're like, it's $82,336. Do I have the right number?
$83,334 a month. Yeah.
I was close, but that's how much, because in our conversation, I really liked what you said about money. You were like, we were talking about goal setting and, planning your things and organizing your things. And yes, right now I'm like really switching from what we just said. But once you have your business going, and I'm not just talking about business either, anything in life. If you have like just a dream and you don't put a date and a plan with it, well, it remains a dream. If you want it to become a goal, well, you need to work on it and plan it and everything. But you were saying, I meet some people who say like, yes, I want to make my $1 million a year, but they don't know what is $1 million a year, because we were talking about reverse engineering, and that's where your 83,000 came out. And I was just like, wow, she mastered that number. She's like, but talk about this a little, because quite often we have this vision of like, especially with money, I know that me for the longest time, I was just like, I want to be rich.
Yeah.
But if you really look at it, and I tell that to my kids when they whine too much, I'm like, we are rich. Like, look at this. You eat as much as you want.
Yeah.
You have a roof, you go to school, you have your phone. So rich can be very different. And if you're not precise on what you're looking for, you can borrow someone else's definition and be rich in their eyes. So talk about that, the importance of being clear with.
Yeah. So I always teach my NFA manifestation formula, which is so simple, and it's simple in written form and logic in your mind. People get stuck in a lot of places in it. But the first step is clarity. You got to have clarity about what you want, right? And what that means is that you're going like, law of contrast helps us. So when we figure out what we don't want, it makes it easier to know what we do want. So if a lot of people come to me and they actually get stuck going like, I'm not sure what I want. And it's really easy if you just you ask yourself, what don't I like about my life right now? And then, what does that mean that I want? And so clarity. So you got to be clear about what it is that you want. Number 2, take steps in the direction of what you want. And number 3, let the universe bring you the way, right? Like the universe will bring you opportunities. This is where law of attraction is really challenging for people because they go, but I want this so badly. And I'm taking some steps on the way. The problem is they have unconscious beliefs that are blocking them from bringing things to them easily. So anytime you have doubt, you're expanding the time of manifestation, because that underlying doubt that you have is causing the money to repel from you, or the goal to repel from you. And so, getting clarity is the first step. And some people, it's interesting, the number of going $83,334. I'm clear on it because, I'm running a business and I need to know my numbers and things like that. Yet some people are really good at just general manifestation where they can step into like, I want to be really, really wealthy. The thing they need to get clear on is, what does that mean to you? Just generally saying what is wealth and having no, emotional attachment to it or clarity in your mind around it is going to make it take longer to come to you, because the universe is just waiting for you to give it instructions to bring you what you want when you believe it. And let's say you had 100% certainty and you knew exactly what you wanted, you could manifest instantaneously. The reason people get stuck is that they don't know what they want, or they aren't certain they can have it. They have too many limiting beliefs. And that's where I work with people, breaking down those limiting beliefs that they don't even know they have. They're just like, why isn't this working? I'm working so hard. I put in 15 hours a day or 10 hours a day or whatever it is into my business, but it's not happening. And it's because they have all those unconscious beliefs that they don't realize are there.
Which one of them is like, the harder you work, the more money you'll make? Which is unfortunately not true.
Yeah, right.
The smarter you work, the more money you'll make, or the more aligned with yourself, the more successful you'll be. But it's not necessarily like we were raised with, you need to be the first at the office and the last one to leave. Like, that's how you're going to make a good impression and blah, blah. And I did those years. And guess what? It didn't, it kind of worked. I did have corporate success, but it also pushed me to burnout because it's not fulfilling, to go through that rat race. And at some point you're just running and you're like, what am I trying to catch? It's like you're in the hamster wheel and you're like, okay, but where is it going? Like, it made me wonder if hamsters, when they run, what they're thinking. Like, at some point, do they realize that they're not going anywhere?
Well, and that is funny to think about, because it's like, you could just ask yourself, do I have hamster brain right now? Like, am I getting anywhere? Because I hope we're more evolved than hamsters, but we do that. You're so right. It's like, I call it the treadmill of BS. Like, are you on the treadmill of BS where you're just going nowhere and you're just pushing harder? One visualization I really like for people to think about when they want to understand how law of attraction is working is, and the I've got to work hard belief. It's like they're in the car and they're going, I want to go to this place fast. So they're pushing on the gas pedal harder and harder and harder, just like working harder and harder and harder. But what they don't realize is that they have the emergency brake on, right? So it's like your unconscious invisible beliefs. You're pushing harder and working harder doesn't do you any good if you have the emergency brake on. right? And so you got to get clear about what I call competing commitments. So that's your unconscious, 95% of you battling against your conscious, which is only 5% of you. So if 95% of you has limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome, analysis paralysis, procrastination problems, fear and doubt and uncertainty, all these things, all these money blocks, then only that 5% of you that goes, oh, I'm ready to break through to 6 figures. Oh, I'm ready to break through to 7 figures, or whatever marker it is for you. The 95% of you is always going to be the emergency brake holding you back.
And that is huge. It's huge. And that's why mindset is so crucial and important. And I love having people on a podcast, to talk about that, because I think that there's different ways to approach mindset and different people will approach it differently. And, you're talking about money, but really it's all a mindset game.
Oh, yeah.
I love.
Yeah.
But now, Amanda, Dr. Amanda, so you were on food stamps 4 years ago. Now you're well on your way to $83,334 a month.
You got it.
And you're married and in a happy relationship. So what would you like? Is there days that you're sitting there and you're like, wow, I can't believe in 4 years how I turned around my life?
Oh, yeah. All the time. I'm like, what? That was 4 years ago. It feels like a totally different life. I mean, like in every way. My money's different. Where I live is different. My relationships are different. My kids are different. Like everything is different because I've completely transformed. I like people to think about this. Your outer world's a reflection of your inner world. And so if you don't like what you're getting on the outside, you've got to change what's within. So as I was changing what's within, everything in my outer world started to change. And that's why I focus on money, because it's a tangible outer expression of your inner world. And you can see evidence of it everywhere in my life. Like everything is different in a tangible way because I changed the inside of myself. And so, like it was wild, the dating process, because I started to like be attracted to totally different people than I ever was attracted to before. It was amazing. It was like, it used to be, I was like always attracted to the bad boys and they needed fixing and all the things, and like, it would be like, if that person was in the crossroom, I'd be like a magnet to them, be like, oh my God, so much chemistry. And then
there's a project.
Totally. And I wasn't conscious of it, but then, I started to change myself, and it was wild to then go into the world and I could like spot that type of guy a mile away, and I had zero desire to hang out with them. And it was just so different, so it was like, I met this like amazing human and he's just incredible, like not that guy, and it was like, whoa, I've really changed. It was amazing to fall in love with somebody who's so different than anyone I've ever been with before.
Well, it's giving hope. Inspiring. Yes. I'll talk for myself. Why I'm pointing this out is because, we see all those beautiful quotes on Facebook as well. Take the first step if you want to change something. Today can be your new start, like all these little things that are inspirational. But in the background of our mind, quite often we're like, yeah, sure, in 10 years. And especially me, like I'm not thinking this way anymore. But I remember when I turned 40, I was just like, yeah, just turned 40. So basically everything is going to be good when I'm around 65. Like, is it even worth it? I was always like, it takes 10, 20 years to build something. So I could never see a change that would be feasible in a decade. And a lot of people are like that. Like, even if we know that you can change fast and we keep putting those quotes everywhere inside of us, we have the limiting belief that, look at the whole long haul that I have in front of me. It's like, yeah. I am so far. And right there, when you think that, you manifest that as well. And you're probably pushing yourself even further.
Totally. Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to point this out, because, I've known you a bit more these days, and I can see you're truly happy and full of energy. And it's not because you didn't have your obstacles and, you're wrong. It's just because you chose. And really, it was a question of mindset. And that's a bit what I want you to leave people with is, if you have to tell them one thing to work on their mindset, what would it be?
I live by this quote by Carl Jung. He says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So if you really integrate that quote, what it means is that you will never change until you become aware of what's blocking you unconsciously. So my NFA Money formula is designed, my whole business, everything I do, masterminds, courses, one-on-one, all of it's designed around the NFA Money formula. And it's 3 simple steps. People can get it. They go to nfamoneyformula.com, 3 simple steps. The hard part about it is that people aren't willing to do the work always, right? Like we owe, as equally as we blame things outside of us for changing, for the reason that we're stuck, that makes it that much harder to change, because when you blame someone outside of you, you have no power. Right? You lose all your power to change when you blame something outside of you. So you've got to decide, I am willing to do whatever it takes to become a master of my thoughts so that I can create a new reality. So for anyone here, remember that you can change rapidly when you decide, commit, and take NFA action, right? Like be NFA about your life. This is the one life you get. One life. That's it. In this body, you get one life. We don't know what happens after this. So make it the best life you possibly can by mastering yourself first. And then everything in your life, your money, your relationships, anything that you choose to create will be coming from that space of yourself being balanced and powerful. I like to think of it as personal power. When I very first started my business, my 3 pillars were personal power, win-win relationships, and money mastery. And it's all rooted in exactly what I created, right? I started working in those 3 pillars and I was like, I'm ready to become more confident within myself, have amazing relationships, and make more money. And I did all of those things. In a couple years, my life started to dramatically transform. And so I teach people simple strategies to do that. And I'll say it's not for everyone. Not everyone's willing to do the work. It does take energy and effort and focused attention to change yourself, because you got to start reprogramming your money mindset. You got to start reprogramming all of the habitual limiting beliefs that you're living your life by and attracting from. And so it's absolutely 100% possible, but it's not going to fall on your lap like a magic pill.
No, unfortunately, because I would buy a few of those pills and I have a lot of people. But, thank you for reminding. The one thing that you really need to do is make the decision.
Yes.
You don't truly, and I'm not saying writing it down and blah, blah. Really making the decision is when you choose and decide to invest your soul in whatever decision you took. So you are, in charge of it. You're not just letting things happen. And so your YouTube channel, how can people listen to it? Because it's amazing.
Yeah. Go to NFA Money on YouTube. Just type in NFA Money, and I release tons of stuff there. And it's my biggest focus right now is growing my channel. So it's going to start growing rapidly, and I'm so excited about it. And NFAmoneyformula.com. So if they go to NFAmoneyformula.com, I give it's like I think a 15-minute little lesson and a cheat sheet that they can take away and literally that day learn a method that will change your life if you use it every day.
Awesome. And I like to tell my kids, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out the most with. So choose your friend carefully. And sometimes we don't have, friends that are super successful or whatever. Well, make Dr. Amanda your best friend. You can hang out with her every single day, listen to her videos, listen to the podcast. And I did that with, some mentors that they don't really know me, but they are my best friend. But to really surround yourself with that, because you need positive talk, you need to work on your mindset, and by hearing people that are there, have done it, and are positive, so uplifting. So just adding in that way, this is why. So I have NFA Money Mama Mastermind, because I know a lot of women listen to your podcast. That's why I have that. It's, to me, I want to hang out with awesome people. So it's I always create what I enjoy. I don't ever create things I don't enjoy. So I enjoy hanging out with awesome women. And so, I have this woman mastermind. It's financial power. I don't know if everyone here is an entrepreneur, but it's for entrepreneurs hanging out. We grow, we read books together. We talk every week. We get on, we have access. You literally would be able to talk to me every single day. So, and I made it so far. I don't know when I'll up level the price, but right now it's very inexpensive because I want to get as many women as I can in there to help them up level their money mindset, because I think that women can be very disempowered financially, and I want women to be financial powerhouses. So if they're interested in that, they can just go to NFAmoneymamas.com and they can sit in for free and check it out. Yes, and I took part to one of them, and it's really cool. So I will put all of Dr. Amanda's, information with the podcast and on my YouTube channel, so you will be able to reach her. But honestly, like, you're a blessing. I'm so happy we met. I think it was through YouTube or whatever. I don't even know anymore, but thank God for online. It's like developing amazing relationship, and I feel so blessed that we've met, like I said, because you are a beautiful example of you can turn things around and be happy and super successful. So thank you so much for coming on today. And to everyone, thank you for being here again this week. If you have questions or comments, you can write to me at info@simplycaroline.com. And I hope you all have a beautiful week. Thank you, Dr. Amanda.
Thanks for having me on.